Hi guys, I'm here to do the 23rd day of the 31 Days of Horror Challenge, and for today the film I'll be reviewing is VHS Viral, which is the third installment in the VHS series. Now, like the other series, there's kind of a central wraparound story and then some shorter stories in between. And while the first few films featured 4 more stories, this one features only 3 because the 4th story was cut. So the main story and the wraparound story is called Vicious Circles. And it's about a high-speed chase where cops are chasing this ice cream truck. And of course, everybody wants to get a viral video that kind of blows up online. So you have kind of a bunch of young guys that are attempting to chase down this high-speed chase to get a glimpse of the action to put on online. But as you go more along through the film, you discover that this chase is not exactly what you think it is. And the guys chasing fame basically learn that all too quickly. The first story is Dante the Great. It's about Dante, who's a struggling magician until he finds a cape. And this cape enables him to perform real magic tricks. And he takes off and gets famous. But the cape requires a human sacrifice in order to enable him to perform these magic tricks. And Dante comes against a magician in training, magician assistant, who kind of fights him for the cape. So that's an interesting one, and probably my favorite out of the 3 stories. The next story is Parallel Monsters, where a scientist, has created a door to another dimension. He opens this door and finds the exact same thing going on the other side, and his clone, I guess, not clone, but doppelganger, his exact replica of himself in this other dimension. And he has the bright idea for them to check out each other's world for 15 minutes. And while at first everything looks the same, once he leaves the basement, he discovers that this other world is far different from his own. And this story was enjoyable, and I thought the story was interesting, but I'm not sure if I liked exactly where they just could have went so many different ways with how different these worlds are. I just think they could have done more with it than they did. But it was still a good story. The last story is called Bone Storm. And it's about a group of skateboarders who are filming their tricks. And they are in Mexico, in Tijuana. And they end up in this one kind of isolated place to skate. But for some reason, they kind of are blinded to the fact that there is a satanic markings and basically an altar that they're skating on. One of the guys cuts himself when he falls, and his blood drips on one of the markings on the ground, and all of a sudden cult members, these satanic cult members, come out. And then more and worse things come out that attack the guys. And they're wearing GoPro cameras, so while they originally were going to catch their skateboarding tricks, they start to catch all these weird stuff coming out of them, and they have to kill all these crazy things, and with skateboards and with rocks and different things. So that one was interesting, but it was edited and filmed in such a way that it could kind of give you a headache or make you feel dizzy. But that one was decent. And the story that was cut was called Gorgeous Vortex. So I think it was about a serial killer. But that was cut out before the film was released to theaters. Now, the main story, the wraparound story, Vicious Circles, was the worst story in this film. It probably could have easily been one of my favorite in the VHS series, but the Vicious Circles story was just really weirdly edited, and it didn't really make that much sense. If you watch it, the final conclusion of the story, while in the first 2 films you kind of could follow what was going on and understand it somewhat, I don't know, I just thought Vicious Circles was really confusing, and I had to look it up and I still didn't quite understand what it was trying to do. And again, it was kind of that editing like Bone Storm where you can't really see everything that's going on and just added to the confusion of the story. So that was the worst story, and why ultimately I really couldn't rate this higher than a 6, because the main storyline wasn't good and wasn't easy to follow. So yeah, definitely some of the better, more like cohesive stories out of the VHS series, but the overall story wasn't good. So that was my review for VHS Viral for the 23rd day of the 31 Days of Horror, and as always, thank you so much for watching.